Obi, and that's Ed. And as you know, he's ready. We are drinking from the garden hose. And remember, the charm is that we suck, as you can see from that fantastic intro. That all being said, Ed, how are you?
Like I said, I'm ready. You know what? Next time I should pay attention to the screen, and then I know when we're going live. But that's all right. It's
It
all
would
part of the
be
fun.
it would be even worse if that actually wasn't caught, and people are like, "What the hell is Obi talking about? This fucking idiot!" You know?
Yeah, well, then I'm doubling down on it. So what are you gonna do?
That's right. That's right. So we're gonna recover from last week's less than stellar showing on our downloads and have a big episode here.
That was listen, Obi. That's all because somebody decided to put the word "piss" in the title. I'm telling you, it scared everybody away.
I think you're right. I think somebody made a big mistake. That's somebody being me. You know,
It's all
I'm
right.
an
We'll
idiot.
recover. So if you were scared of the word "piss" in the title, and you're listening to this, just go back and listen to the workout episode. Trust me, it's about working out. No one's pissing in the gym, right? Just know that.
Agreed. That is definitely an episode to go back. I don't think we've ever had an episode, honestly, Ed, where I finished was like, "That's a really good episode. Can't wait for people to listen to it." And then it did. No one wants to listen to that episode. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and that goes back to the charmings that we suck because there's been some episodes that I got off of here go, man, we just didn't bring it tonight. And then we get like top 5 downloads of all time. And then, we get off and we think that's the best episode ever. And like crickets. So I don't know. One day we're gonna be like I won't say his name, but we're gonna be really popular podcasters and we'll have analytics and we'll have like experts telling us like, oh, don't say that word, right? But right
Yes.
now we're just winging it.
They'll say you can say shit, but don't put piss in the title. That's what they're gonna.
No, number one rule in podcasting: get your titles right.
Well, speaking of getting things right, I saw this week that you were working on. Well, actually, last week you're working on your bathroom, doing chores around the house. Boy, that's something. I know getting my kids to do any chores has varying degrees of difficulty. My parents getting me to do chores had varying degrees of difficulty. What goes on in your world there?
Well, it's such a loaded question. Like you started out talking about me doing a chore around the house, so we're gonna have to get to that, right? That's a whole story. But let's just go back to the beginning, right? Let's go back to when I was a little kid, and I think it started like earliest memories of my dad just always drilling into my head that he only had kids so we could do work around the house. I mean, that's why I was mowing the lawn. I think that's why my mom had me sweep. Listen to this. Every night after dinner, I had to sweep the kitchen floor every freaking night. I don't think my kitchen floor gets swept ever anymore, right? But when I was growing up, swept my floor every night after dinner. Had to put my dishes away. Had to put them in the dishwasher. Um, Stuff that I mean, listen, I like my mom always told my wife, I taught him how to do all the chores around the house. So if he doesn't do them, that's on you, not on me, right? So I did it all. You name it, Obi, I did it growing up.
You sound like you had it worse than I did. I honestly couldn't tell you. I think take out the garbage was like, or bring the garbage cans down. So that was the extent of my actual chores. I had a mom who did a lot of the chores. I wasn't exactly prepared for chores until probably I met you, and all of a sudden we lived in the house and we had like work. We didn't have someone to do this stuff around the house, and you could see that too many of us were raised like me. If you lived there, you know what we were talking about. If you came and visited us.
Yeah, you little pansies from New Jersey never did anything in your lives. I remember that. I started doing my own laundry when I was in 6th grade. My mom told me, I'm not doing your laundry anymore. And I had to do my own laundry. And the kicker though is my brother was on here. He complained because guess what? He had to start doing his laundry at the same time. And he's 4 years younger than me. So this kid was like in 2nd grade having to do his own laundry because my mom, she went back to work and she's like, screw it. I ain't doing nothing around this house anymore. And by the way, Obi, just so you know, my mom listens to this podcast and she like takes this all very personal. She fact checks me. She listens and I get texts like, that's not true. Or she'll post on Facebook to like protect her, reputation. So I'm really going to get it after this episode. But I'm telling you, I had to do all this crazy work around the house. And then my dad, I had to shovel the driveway if it snowed, and we lived in the Northeast, so it snowed like every freaking day. So I'd have to go to school uphill both ways, and then I'd come home and have to shovel the driveway. In the summer, I had to mow the lawn, rake leaves. My dad didn't know what a leaf blower was. He had a son. I had to rake the leaves.
And
I'm
you know what?
telling you,
The,
I had to
the
do
the
it
lawn
all.
mowing was my job, and the other thing is, I you know on a scale of 1 to 10, be handy, with the 0 being, uh, you know, you can't put in a light bulb, and a 10 being Bob Vila. I'm closer to the 6 or 7, and my father was like a 3. So like I had to kind of help him along with some of the handyman stuff that would that other kids. I'm sure watching what your brother does and you doing the toilet, you were way ahead of me, but still it's like I had to do some of those chores. So they weren't chores, but it was like somebody lend dad a hand while he's you know installing a faucet or something easier like that, and that was my job. And I had to mow the lawn, and our lawn had a thick angle. But my son, who we're not allowed to talk about, but he don't listen to the show, so you know, screw him. He's very good at weaponizing incompetence. I think they call it now on the internet. Like he took out the lawnmower, and like the first time he took out the lawnmower, he cracked the lawnmower blade. I'm like, you're gonna kill yourself trying not to mow the lawn. And it's a real shame because he's actually really handy. He's a carpenter. That's what he's working on in school. Builds all sorts of things. He's now the guy in his apartment. They're like, do we call housing or can you fix this? But boy, he refused to do chores. Slowly but surely, he's better than his little brother. He did not laundry. He did the dishes. My dishwasher was broken for the last 3 years because I had him. So I shouldn't really badmouth him that much. He figured it out and started doing chores. But my younger one, the only chore we ask him to do is to fold everybody's laundry, and that doesn't get done.
So you talk about weaponizing the incompetence or the hopelessness. So this was so I tried it. Like I had to do everything. Trust me, I tried to get out of doing everything. I'm like the laziest guy you'll ever meet. Like you may not realize that if you know me in real life. But I'm a pretty lazy guy. I try to hide it. But so I used to do crap like this. You ready for this? My mom told me one day. This was back when. Well, here's the other thing. I would do my own laundry, but then I would have to help with their laundry, right? So my bedroom was downstairs where the washer and dryer was, and so my mother's like, "Hey, I need you to take the clothes out of the washer and put them into the dryer," right? So I'm like, "All right, I don't want to do this, so I'll make sure I never have to do this again." So I went and took the clothes out of the washer, put them in the dryer, shut the dryer, and walked away. Um, about an hour later, my mother, expecting the dryer to be done with dry clothes in it, flips her lid when she realizes they're still wet. And of course, calls me in from my wiffle ball game, ruins it. My friends are there, embarrasses me. Get your ass in here. You got to learn how to do it. And she says to me, she goes, "You think you're going to get out of doing these chores by doing them wrong? You got another thing coming to you.
See,
Now turn
that
the
is good.
dryer on
And
and
with
don't
my
ever let
older
it happen
son,
again."
other than the lawn mowing, because he was going to hurt himself in his attempts to fail, that worked. My younger son, man, this kid, he won't do nothing. I'm yelling because he's right next door. He only chore that we've like even possibly is this laundry folding. It is. And then I've tried everything in every parenting book, from beating him in corporal punishment to denying him the ability. Like he's just like, I'll take whatever punishment you got. I'm not doing chores. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So we talked about it pre-gaming, right? So what is the difference between you saying no to your parents and our kids saying no to us? And the difference is night and day, right? Like, first of all, I would never say no to my parents because I probably did it once. Actually, I got a great story about that. When I was in kindergarten, the kid up the street from me, his name was Kenny. I don't remember his last name, otherwise I'd look him up because I got to tell him. I never told him this story, but he taught me the F word, right? We were one day on the school bus or something. He's telling me the F word, and he basically said, "Listen, you say the F word when you really mean it. You like if you don't want to do something, you're F no, right? Like if you really, that's what the F word's for. When you really mean something." All right, great. So and my parents were pretty good. Like by the time I was in kindergarten, I still hadn't heard the F word really. So now I learned it. So I'm at home one night, supposed to be eating my vegetables, and my mother tells me, "Eat your peas." Now, this was an instance where I really didn't want to do something. Kenny told me, use the F word if you really don't want to do it. So I told my mom, F no, I'm not eating my peas. Oh my Lord. I think that's the only time I ever said no to my mother, right? F no, but I said no. She lost it. I paid for it. And I never said no again to my parents because I knew what was going to happen.
So I
Fast
can't
forward to
wait
me
for
having
your
kids.
mother's critique of
My
this
kids don't
episode
know how
because
to
I
say
wonder
yes
how
to me.
much she's gonna be like, "Oh no, he said no, he was a problem." I'm looking forward to the critique. I had an irrational fear of my parents because my parents were not in any corporal nothing. I mean, yelling. That's what they did. And yet somehow I had this fear of my mother, but I still said no a hefty amount of times. Like that was not a thing I was worried about. I'm not sure how they let me get away with it. Maybe they shouldn't have. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I wouldn't be doing a podcast in a beaten down sweat jacket. Instead, I'd be making decisions about whether I was going to take my super uber rich podcast off of any services. But maybe they should have said, "No, don't say no so much." Who knows?
Well, my parents said, "Don't say no," and I'm here in a ratty sweatshirt and doing the same podcast with you, so it doesn't make a difference. But I'll tell you something. I used to be scared crapless of my father, right? And other than shooting me with the BB gun, so I guess in hindsight, I should have been scared of him because he actually shot me with a BB gun. But other than that, like my dad never did anything. My dad was he just like I don't even think he knew he was being used as like the big bad guy, but it was always like wait till your father gets home. I was oh shit, he's coming home, right? And but it was my mom. One day we're at I'm telling you, my mom's gonna love this. Good thing she's on vacation this week. She'll probably get to this in a couple weeks. We were at dinner table one night, and she was sitting to my left, right? And I always thought that she had to be looking at me to smack me, right? Because that's usually how it came. Like face to face, eye to eye, smack me right in the face, right? Well, this time she's to my left at the dinner table. My dad's across from me, my brother's to my right. And I'm just yapping about something. Probably trying to press all her buttons. Obviously, I did. And I swear to God, she just backhanded me. I didn't even see it coming. I just got the backhand right across the face. And yet I was afraid of
Amazing
my
how that
dad. My
works, right?
mom freaking backhanded me at
That's
the
the
dinner
scary one.
table, and I was
Now,
afraid of my dad.
I wonder with your kids, being that they're girls, whether they're more afraid of you or their mother. Because I wonder if it's a gender thing that we don't even realize that you're picking up on, or if they're just afraid of you because you're big and bad.
I'm not sure they're afraid of me. But my dad would just walk into the room and I would be cowering. So I walk in the room, my kids kind of laugh at me. So now so sometimes I use this technique where I like do the one flew over the cuckoo's nest. I just act like I'm freaking nuts, and that gets them scared sometimes, and they actually listen to me for like a little bit. But I'm not really nuts, so
Yeah,
I can't
it's
act it
hard to earn
forever.
respect
So,
with these
but I
kids.
try to go nuts, and then
just
sometimes I get some respect.
We're not working. Oh, you're working. The best.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing about this episode of the podcast. Everyone listening to it right now is agreeing with us, right? They got no control over their kids, right? Yet, if you were having this conversation with them out at a bar or at work or on the water cooler, like they got the best kids. They do all the chore. Like people are so full of crap about how good their kids are and what their kids do. And oh, my kid doesn't have screen time. We have rules and we have parental controls.
Oh yes,
All crap.
Yes,
I just let people talk, but I know it's
this,
all
and that.
crap.
And then you're like, well, then what is the problem with your kid? Because whatever you tell me your kid is great at, there's something that's wrong with your kid. Because if your kid is perfect, you can retire now. Send that kid off to Harvard now. Get him out. Be done. Because your kid ain't perfect.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, my kid can shoot a three-pointer and they get straight A's, but other than that, they don't do anything. I'm telling you, they don't do any chores. And I'm a bad parent. I'll just tell you that
Facebook
right
with
now.
her three-pointers.
I'm a bad parent.
Getting great grades. He's gonna go to school, but chores? No, thank you. I'm good.
you never see me posting on Facebook about,
look,
hey,
here
look at
they
the
are
chore, look
bringing
at
in
the
the
floor
garbage
my
cans.
daughter
Hey, you
just
can
mopped.
find the picture of my son somewhere on my Facebook mowing the lawn the one time he tried to do it.
You know something else you'll never see on Facebook?
Yeah,
Hey, look how clean
my
my kid's
youngest son,
room is.
yeah, again, his room is disgusting. It's just, yeah, you walk in with the Febreze, and boys in that he's finally past that age where even when he showers, he smells. I don't know if girls have that age, but anyone who's been a father of a boy, there's just that.
Yeah. Oh, oh, listen, I got to tell you, this is the funniest story. So yesterday, I yesterday my youngest daughter, she's 12, right, and she's again, she don't listen to this. I'll say, again, she's at the age where BO starts creeping in, right? So we buy deodorant for the kids, right? I actually pay for it out of my own money. I don't make them buy it themselves. And the other day, we're getting ready to go somewhere, and all of a sudden, I smell perfume. We're actually going to her older sister's basketball game. I go, "Hey,
Well,
why do I smell perfume?" She goes,
hey, at
"Well,
least she's
I
got
couldn't find my deodorant and I stink."
no.
So she's using
No,
perfume.
we're
So
12. We're gonna use
let's
deodorant,
maybe we could take a
perfume.
shower. That could
Yes,
work.
yes.
Maybe we could actually
Hey,
find
it
our
works.
deodorant,
You didn't smell
use
her
soap.
stink. You
I don't
smelled the
know. No
perfume
perfume.
instead. Oh no, you talk.
Yeah. Um, so the other so after the perfume, we I think the other thing about chores, right, is then when you get older, what are the chores you got to do when you get older, right?
Also,
Um, After you get out of the house and you live in and you get married, what do you
yes,
got to do
sir.
around the house, right? So you talked to me about the plumbing work you saw me doing, Obi, right? So that's the type of stuff when you own a house, all of a sudden you got to do stuff. You got to fix a toilet that's leaking, right? And it's always a bigger job than you think it is, right? So you go to Lowe's, you buy what you need, you come back, and guess what? You need to go back to Lowe's. And Lowe's is like, I don't know, 20 minutes away, right? So your 1 hour project becomes 4 hours. Then you think you're real proud of yourself. You post it on Facebook, and all the real handy guys just basically dump on you because it took 4 hours to do something that should have taken 10 minutes, right? So it's real emasculating as well.
Oh yeah, I hear you. It's like you can't figure out how to buy the right stuff. You go in, you think you buy the right things. You buy like 4 pieces because that's what it shows on the shelf. And then it turns out you only needed 2 of them, but you need something else. So you return 2 of them and you buy the third thing. Like I have a revolving stock of stuff that goes back every time I go to Lowe's. It's like, got to go to Lowe's to get some money because they have all my money. And then, oh, but while I'm there, I pick up something else. Yeah, I'm a mess when it comes to those things.
Remember, I told you I was lazy? I don't bring stuff back to Lowe's. I just put it in the garage because I might need it another time, So I just got all this spare parts. But then I probably forget what I even got them for. And so I don't even use them because then I go to Lowe's and buy the parts again, right? So it's just, I'm a big mess with that.
And that's why I do the return because I used to be the same way. And be like, oh yeah, I'll find a purpose for this. And now I'm like, I have this hook that I'm never gonna have a use for because it's three things shelf systems ago. I should have returned it the first time. So bring that back. Absolutely, that's how I go. But even regular chores now. I know we talked earlier about how your mom got you trained. I'm sure your wife is happy. But I have the exact opposite going on. My wife will not do the dishes. Now, we've talked about how I got my son to do the dishes. She had this issue with her brother where like they had rotating schedules of who did what. But when it was his dishes day, he would not do it. That was his line in the sand. And then it was her turn the next day. And so she had 3 times worth of dishes to do. So she will not do dishes. It's got to be my job, which is why I used to have my son do it. And then when he stopped doing it, got my dishwasher fixed.
So we have, and again, I've been told that I was just born in the wrong generation because we have evolved in our marriage of very gender specific roles, which is so like 50s, right? But if it's outside, I do it. Like if my wife listens to me, I got to give her props. She does shovel the stairs, but she won't touch the driveway, right? She won't mow the lawn, although I pay a guy to do that now. But if it's outside, I do it. Garbage cans are outside. I have to get the garbage outside. If the garbage can is overflowing, she'll unbag it, or she'll take the bag out and just leave it in the kitchen as a signal, like, hey, go do your job, right? And so I don't do dishes either, Obi, because that's inside.
Well, so I benefit from this though some ways, because my wife is the garbage gatherer. Yes, I have to bring the garbage down and bring the cans back up, but I wake up in the morning, and if there's garbage bags that need to go out, they're right by the door. She just doesn't take them the last 5 feet. I got the easy job when it comes to that. So there are some good trade-offs by not having the typical gender roles. My favorite incorrect gender role is her father was a huge car guy, just a monster car guy, and taught her as much about cars as you can. And of course, now modern cars, unless you are a mechanic and have the plug to know what's going on, you're probably not doing it. But when we go to the mechanic and he gives us a list of stuff that's supposed to be done, she's like, yes, bullshit, yes, no. Like, it's great. And so the mechanic calls me up, tells me, oh yeah, let me confer with my wife what kind of budget we have. Honey, help me with this list of car crap. So I'm happy, because my father in cars was not a pretty subject. As I said, he was closer to can't screw in a light bulb, probably can't put together an IKEA thing, let alone handle a car.
So I was, coming to cars, I was raised that it's all bullshit, right? So if whatever they're trying to upsell you, it's a scam. So if you go for an oil change, you better not walk out with anything other than your oil change, because you just got ripped off, right? So I say no to everything. No.
This is more
they're like you realize your tires are bald. I'm like, doesn't matter. That's not why I came here.
I'm talking more like there's a click in the right rear tire, and then they're like, well, you need your left front brake pad. No, that's nothing. Like that point where I was no. Oh, you need that belt has nothing to do with that click. You fix the click. So it's somewhere in the middle, because I'm not talking about the oil change, not the general click sound.
Oh, in that case, I'm probably fall for it. If I take the car in for a click, sure, I'll replace the engine. just make the click go away, And if that's the case, if I'm bringing the car there for that, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever. But if I'm just getting my oil changed, no, I'm not getting my fluid flush. I'm not getting the super extra wiper blades. No.
Okay, I'm on board with you on that. That I figured out myself as well. I'm at the quick oil change place to make it quick. Just give me new oil and let me out.
That's right.
And I can install my own wiper blades. Thank you very much.
So, Obi, to summarize, all parents have kids that don't do chores. We're not the only ones. We're just talking about it publicly. We had to do chores when we were growing up. Well, you didn't grow up in Jersey, but most people had to do chores growing up. Our kids don't do chores. Now that we're married, we have to do them again. We try to get out of it. And car repairmen are scams. Is that a good summary?
A pretty cool summary. I didn't have like a set of chores, but I did have to do things. And you know what? I'm paying for that now. Like, I don't know how much your parents rely on you to do things around their house now. And it's gotten better when my parents now moved into a 50-plus community in a new house. But when they lived in their old house before they moved, man, in my late 20s, I did more around my parents' house to the point where I would fight with them about, can't you make my brother do it? He lives here. I don't know. You do it. So they got me later when they really needed me on the technology side. So maybe they played it right.
So there's two things where I lucked out. One is I moved away and my brother didn't, right? So he's the one that has to deal with that stuff. But the other is, remember I talked about weaponizing my incompetence, right? So it may not have worked when I was 12 or 13, but for some reason, everyone thinks I'm incompetent now as a grown adult. So I never get asked to help. So it actually paid off. If you think about how many years I've been a grown adult, it's more than paid its dividends than the 3 years that I had to still do the laundry, right?
I think you won this little contest. So I defended myself by not saying I didn't have chores. My parents had a better plan. They got me down. And I just got one more thing while we're here because I know he listens. We're going to talk for just a minute about my brother. We may have talked about it in our brother episode, but my brother's ability to do handyman work. When my brother asks me, hey, can I borrow a chainsaw? Hey, can I borrow a drill? Hey, can I borrow whatever that tool is? I tell him no, but I'll let your wife borrow it. And I mean it. I don't care what the tool is. His wife, whether it's a screwdriver or a machete, his wife's the one using the tool, not my brother. So I don't know what kind of chores that my parents wrangled him into, but he can't do any of that stuff now.
And my guess is if my brother had a podcast, he'd be telling the same story about me. That's why when I did my plumbing work, I filmed it to put it on Facebook for two reasons. One, I thought it would be funny to those who actually knew how to do that work. They could laugh at me, and that's fine. I'm always up for a good joke. And two, I actually wanted to show my dad and my brother that I actually did something without calling them to ask them how to do it.
And you're the older brother.
I am the older brother, yes. But remember, I'm also the guy who replaced the toilet in the fraternity house when someone kicked it and broke it during a party.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
so I actually can do things. I'm just, like I said, lazy, don't want to do them.
And that's the charm. The charm is that you're lazy.
That's true. That is true.
With that, now that we're echoing, I'm going to say goodnight to all our listeners. Thank you for listening, putting up with us. Add any final words before we turn off?
No. Take care. Listen to the workout episode. It's not about this.